How do you feel about Oregon overall in the national scene?
I don't care. I mean, I don't.
Next segment.
You know, like.
All right, and going on to Anthony real quick.
But I mean, so
Anthony.
here's we've established from day one that it doesn't matter what everybody, to Aaron's point, like, it doesn't matter what everybody else is doing, right? Everybody else does their things. Like, you're not playing everybody else. Like right now, Oregon is just essentially has been playing themselves, right? How do you make yourself better? How do you fix the things that you need to fix in order to get into that conversation? It truly, like, I don't know, like, I don't want to say I'm bothered by all the panic and, oh my God, you know, Oregon's not as good as the number 3 ranking they had at the beginning of the season, and they're not going to be a top. Like, just take a deep breath. Like, do they have things to work on from last week? Sure. Did they look better last week? Not by, than they did against Boise State? Yeah. And if you continue to do that, then you will be in contention at the end of the year. If you don't, then you won't. So, like, I don't know. I say I don't care because I come from the Jimmy Radcliffe school of thought, which is just like, who cares what everybody else is doing? Do your job. Do your job. Do it well. Do it to the best of your ability. Do everything you possibly can to optimize yourself. And by doing that, you will have the best opportunity to achieve the results that you want. If you don't, you won't. Seems pretty simple to me. I don't know.
Here's a point too. You know, Washington last year, the narrative on Washington was they were winning, but they kept winning barely, right? They kept having these close games against.
I know somebody who kept winning barely, like.
Right. Meanwhile, the Ducks were just blasting everybody, right? And so going into the Pac-12 title game, I think the Ducks were favored by 9 or 10 because of the margin of those errors, those scores, even though Washington had defeated Oregon. And then what happened in the Pac-12 title game? You could tell by mid-second quarter, it was like, okay, yeah, all those other games and all those other scores those two teams have participated in were absolutely worthless because Washington played better against the better teams than they did against the lesser teams. And so, yeah, basically, we just have to talk about something. So we're going to evaluate it as it sits now. And as it sits now, Oregon's good and they could become great. But I would say right now they're not national title contenders. But then at the same time, I just threw Penn State out there. But they struggled with Bowling Green. So is that fair? I don't know. But it'll all work itself out. That's the best part about it, right?
Can we get a transcript, like a digital transcript of that sentence that Fentress just had? Because they could have Penn State and we could have this, and we're just talking about we're throwing stuff out there, and I don't know, and it's just there's no period in that quote.
I don't deal with periods.